Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more brown bag session. My name is Eddie. I am a software developer, and I'll be talking to you about PWAs. That stands for Progressive Web Apps. My goal today is to show you what is a PWA, of course. We'll discuss that in a sec, and show you how you can do, like how you can turn your current and regular web application into a PWA very quickly in an easy way. We go through the two main components. We'll see how we can do some sort of communication because there's a tricky thing when you do that. What's the life cycle of a PWA, like those PWA components? And we'll see a lot of cool stuff that we won't be able to do everything today. But I will let you know about cool APIs that you can use that you might be interested in. So, what's a PWA? It's a web application, but that pretends to be a native application. So, it's an web application that pretends to be a mobile application on your phone, and pretends to be a desktop application in your laptop, in your computer. And why you need that? You need that because sometimes, if you're a mobile developer, for example, you will face problems and weird problems with store gatekeepers. So Apple Store and Google Play Store, from time to time you face a weird problem. For example, with images, I faced that. So we had all the images working, but now in the next publish we wanted to do, it didn't have any change in the images, but someone like from Apple Store just decided that the images we had we needed to change because of some sort of alpha filter or something. And even worse, they tend to force you to use their products. For example, if your app has payment, so you have products, you have services, and you want to offer to your users, you can, but you can in the app you need to use their services. So in the Apple you need to use Apple Pay, and if I'm not wrong, now you are obligated to use Google Pay in the Android. For Android I'm not sure, but for Apple I'm sure. So you have to do that, and that's bad because sometimes there are less expensive options for a payment system. So and also they are easier to integrate a lot because Apple Store, oh my god. Well, so these are great reasons for that. But I have another reason here that just came to my mind. That is, you rarely need an application that has all the native capabilities. Most likely your application is just an application that has some form and do some simple stuff like listen contacts or integrating with Bluetooth. And believe it or not, there are some APIs, web APIs, that can be used to that. Isn't it cool? Is it cool? Very, very cool. So that's it. That's why you need it. But now it's time how we do that, how you can do that today. Well, to turn your application into a PWA, you need two main components. Actually, you need one. To get your application to turn that into installable, you need one component. That's the manifest.json file. And I have an application here that you'll be using to demonstrate that. So let me open this file here. This is a JSON file that's called a manifest.json file. And what it has is a bunch of information, metadata about your application. So the name, icons, start URL, I don't know, like theme, color, background color, and many other stuff you can add here. I won't go through all the possibilities, all the parameters you can provide here, all the keys, all the attributes. I think it's much better to say. You can just search for that documentation like MDN manifest. You'll be able to see that. But you know, that describes your application. And if you do that, oh, of course, I'm using a Rails application here for the simplicity's sake, but you know, you can do that with regular HTML. Pretty simple, you know, because what you need is a manifest JSON, and you need just to add this link tag with your manifest. That I didn't do that yet, but I will do right now. So as you can see, we have a regular application here, but now, like magic, I will turn that into a, that's my magic actually. I have a branch, pretty good magic. So it just turns that into a PWA. It doesn't like so, but you know, we just saw this icon appear here, didn't we? I mean, it's an install button. So at least in Chrome, the install button will be there, and then you can click and it will ask you if you want to install this. And you can install this, and that's it. You have that working. Isn't it great? It's here. You can search for that. You can find that here too. So you just got your application into, turned your application into a PWA. That's amazing. What else? Let me see if I can. I can't. As you can see, it's a browser actually. Oh my god, I just closed this. Let me open again. It's a browser, so you can do everything you're, you know, accustomed to do when working with web development. And one thing that you might want to see, let me go back. I mean, you can do that, but let me go back to the Chrome itself, because I think it's easier for demonstration. Yeah. Once you add the manifest, it will be installed, and that's it. You can also get information about the manifest here. So theme color, start URL, and orientation also. Cool. So I mean, you have a bunch of nice attributes you can add to make your app very, very good. Okay, and deliver a good experience. It's cool. We have this installed, and I opened it in the browser again, and you can see this icon here. So I can go back and open the program. You know, that's really great. But there's a problem, because I mentioned that's installable. That's actually a PWA. You know, but it lacks the most important feature of, okay, it's kind of working, because I had made it I had it tested here. But let me, oh, okay. Let me reopen that. So if I okay, yeah, that's it. If I refresh this, this happens. And this happens because our application, our server, is not running. But if I get this running again, it should work. Yeah, it works. So our application is installed, but it doesn't behave like a native application, because a native application, it's it can handle this offline nature much better. I mean, even though there are some features that need internet connection, we want to show a better message, you know, other than that Chrome message that, you know, that's pretty bad for a native application. You don't want to use an application that just show you Chrome messages, I'm pretty sure. So in order to deliver this capability of offline working, we need another component that's a service worker. And again, using some magic, I will show you how to do that. So, oh, I think I didn't show you, but just to make sure, because I'm using Rails, that's how the link tag is, you know? That's the manifest, and here you have the location of that manifest JSON. And that's it, you know? Okay, so I'll open that here again. I'll close because it's simpler for me. It's not working, of course, but if I run this, it should get back to work. Okay. And now it works. And let me see how is my battery here. Okay. Hold on. Okay, I just plugged my charger here, so let's continue. So I did my magic. Now I have in this application, I have a component that's called service worker. And what is a service worker? It's just a JavaScript file. So we can see here, let me go here. We will go through some of go through this code here, but just understand that that's a JS file, and that's it. And how you get a service worker running, actually? Well, in some application, like in some other JavaScript file, that will be like you will need to get this registered. So it will be in the entry point of your application. It's a JS file, so your page will load and it should be registering the service worker. So here, that's a Rails application. I put this in this application.js, okay, because it will be there. And here, what I'm doing, I'm just registering this. So I check if the navigator supports the service worker, and if it does, I register it. And to register, I just pass the path. We can pass other options, but out of the scope of this session. And usually you'll be doing this. And then if it works, I get a registration object, and that's it. It's registered. And once it's registered, we can do some good stuff with it. And we'll see in a sec. But before we do that, once you register it, you can see that in the DevTools also. So if you go to the application service workers, you'll see this service worker running. Isn't it cool? Yeah. So you can do some other stuff here. Some of them we will understand in a sec, but just to understand, we have some cycle here. So as you can see, a service worker can be waiting. It can be it's installed. It can be waiting, but in this case, it's activated. So that's the situation here. For some reason, I think that for some test I was doing it was stopped, but it should be working actually. Okay. Well, but that's a JavaScript file. So let's go back to this JavaScript code. And you don't need to understand everything here. You just need to understand that we are using an API called Cache API for caching requests. Because we want our application to work like a native app. So we want that to show something other than that Chrome page. When you go to YouTube and you're offline, it shows you a page. Even though you're offline, if you have ever loaded that before, it will show you a page like you have no connection or something like this. So that's the idea, and that's how you could do that, for example. Because in this file, you can set a bunch of listeners to a lot of different events that might be useful for your application. And one of the main events to deliver this capability is the fetch event. That's what makes the service worker to act like a proxy between your application and the outside world. So any request that comes from your application, for example, a request to get a JavaScript file, a CSS file, an image, everything that goes through the network that you can see in the network tab, we go through this, So the service worker can decide what to do. And in this case, what I'm doing is I'm applying a cache first strategy. What does that mean? The request comes in, it goes through the service worker, like the request comes from my application, my page. It goes through the service worker, because once it's activated, it's active, it takes control over the requests, and it will in this case, in this strategy, we'll get from the cache and serve. And if it's not in the cache, it will do a real fetch, to request that resource. If we go to the network here, we can see that, for example, in this case, everything is coming from the service worker already, as you can see, served from service worker. Only this not, because it's a Chrome extension, and as you can see in the code, I just skipped this. So basically, it creates this cache here. I won't go through the cache API itself. You can understand it like in the documentation also, the MDN cache API. You'll be able to see that. But there's a cache here. So let me delete this cache for now and see the network again. And now, as you can see, we have some calls to fetch here. So for example, the fetch is initiated through the service worker because it takes control over that, So, and that's how you can do that. And once you have a cache, it means that even though you don't have connection, or that's a good simulation, it will work because it will now serve from service worker. And now you have an offline capability. I just dropped the server and it's still working. That's great. So that's a good start for your application. You have these components like manifest and the service worker to get that installable, and service worker with the cache API and the fetch event to make that to work offline. Okay. A few things about the service worker. It's a web worker. Okay, what does that mean? It works off main thread. It means that it can't access many of the APIs you are used to access. For example, from the service worker, you can't manipulate DOM API. You can't access a local storage or something like this, like session storage. So there, those APIs that are from the main thread, you won't be able to do that. But it does not mean that you can't, because it seems like due to this limitation that the service worker can only work for, to exit proxy, but that's not true because it can do more, So let's do the magic again, and you see an example of. Before I do that, let me just get this working again. Rails S. Okay. Just to test this cache, I will change our index file here. Okay, something. Okay. And if I refresh the page, it won't refresh because it's cached. But if I delete the cache here, it will now refresh a new version and it changes. Just to show you that it's actually working. So let's say then that instead of deleting the cache by hand, like in the dev tools, you want to have a button for that. How could you do that if the service work is off main thread? There's no way you can add a listener to an element or something like that, So how can you do that? Basically, through messages, So if you want to do something in the service worker side, you can just publish a message, and based on that message, the service worker will do anything, And you can also send messages from the service worker to what they call the client, But in this terminology, a client can be, if you have two tabs of the same application and there's a service worker, it's the same service worker for two clients. So that's the idea, But you can get a client that's an active client and send a message to that. So you can have this communication. That's pretty good. Erlang is a programming language and it works like this. You have a bunch of processes and they communicate to each other. They coordinate each other, just doing just passing messages, So it works and it scales actually. So let's do Rails S. this branch here has some changes in this file, so I have now some I have a button. Actually, I won't go deep into this because that's real stuff, and you don't need to care about it. As I said, you can do everything I'm doing here just with regular HTML and JavaScript. So I have a button, and I will have an event in that button. So when I click in that button, what I want to do is to send a message to the service worker. Okay, so there's this change. There's also this change here, because now the service worker, that's the self here, it has this new event, this new listener to the message event. So every message that comes in, we go through this, and we can deal with that. And here it's doing handling to messages. So it go to look in the data type. Data here is the payload of the event. You can put any JavaScript object here, and it expects to have a type, and based on the type, it will do what it is supposed to do. Another change that we have here is in the application. I think that's in the application. Okay, yeah. Just posting a message. Here, I'm getting from the registration, I can get the active service worker, So I'll post a message to the active service worker, because the service worker, and you see in a moment, can have different states. So that's it. You just send this message. What it will do then, as you can see, it's a greeting message. It will just print that, the payload that is hello from the main thread. Let's see if it works. I'll then refresh my page. Of course, I have to clear the cache, just in case. And now it shows the button. And I mean, it shows a log here for some stuff I did. But, it should appear a log here, because once it loads the page, it should send this message. And should go here, on the right side, line 47. Why isn't it happening? It's not happening because the service worker, this new service worker that has this message listener, is not active, So if you look here, what we have is we have a service worker that's active, that's been active since we started using it, and there's this new one that's waiting, it's waiting to activate. And that's the life cycle of a service worker. The browser will never, if you never just get a new service worker and just push it through to make it active, because it could be bad, Let's say you had a service worker that was handling those requests in the fetch event, and you changed something and just broke everything in your application. That's not a good thing to do. So the browser, it takes a new service worker and it brings that. They call install it. So they will install your service worker. So you get that once it's installed, because it needs to check for any error or something like that. It will be in a state of waiting. It's waiting for activate. It's ready, but it's not activated yet. And to activate that, I mean, you can either close all your clients, so all tabs, all instances of the program running, and open again, and the browser, can safely change this. You can, of course, through the DevTools, click on skip waiting, and there are other ways you can do that. But before we go, like we discussed this, let's skip waiting here, and now the new service worker is running. And if I refresh the page, now it works, because it will send that message, it will receive and do what it needs to do. Okay, pretty good. Oh, there's a timeline here. That's nice. Installing, the time it was waiting, and now activate. Okay, so pretty good. It works. And I mean, this button here, it has an event. Let's test this. So just to show you, this is some real stuff too, but just an event. Okay, when I click on that button, it will do this. It will do this. And what it it's doing, it is posting a message. The type clear cache, and you know that it will do this in the service worker. Okay, let's see if it works. Let's change index HTML blah. Okay, it won't work, but let me clear the cache. Clicking the button, I clicked. Oh, it deleted. Yeah, if I refresh the page, that works. You know, so that's how you can communicate with the service worker. That's how you can get that. You can do your operations. Let's say you have something in the local storage and you want to pass to the service worker. That's a way you could do that. You know. Okay, we are almost finishing. We have a few minutes left. So that's you do that, and you know we discussed the life cycle. So that's the life cycle of a service worker. When you perform a change to the service worker, you will always need to do that. You know, and here is a sample how you can do the skip install differently. So the service worker can also listen to the events about its state. You know, so for example, this install event will be triggered when it's installed. It's wrong here. So we also have some other event that is activated. So we can examine it much better. So Rails S. So just to check what I just said about clients and that stuff. So I have two instances of this. Let's clear the cache so it get back to this. So it's the same cache as you can see. So I mean I have the service worker here. It's waiting to activate because we just changed it. I can close this tab here, but it won't. Like I can refresh here too, but it won't let the service worker go through because I have to close this too. So let me close it, and then we can see it working. Now it should be active. Okay, that's active. You know, that's pretty good. We can even see the event. So when it's activated, it triggers this event. So that's great. I think that you can do like to instead of I mean you won't ask you may not want that your user need like having to close everything or to go through the dev tools and skip waiting. I mean, may not be your case. You may want to do something that's okay. I have a service worker, but it's not like that. I mean, it won't crash my application. I mean, if I can I can go like just go through with this. And if that's the case, that's cool because in the install here you can do this skip waiting. So remember, installing is the browser detects a new service worker and it will bring that. So that's the installing. So it will install that, and then once you install that, it will be inactive in the waiting state because there will be another service worker already. So in this case, what we are doing is, let's skip this. So there will be installing, and it will just go through. There will be no need to skip waiting the DevTools anymore. So let's see that working. I will need, of course, at this moment. Okay, it went through already, actually. So yeah, that's it. So it installed here. That's the event and activated because of the skip waiting. So if I change this, blah, it won't need like to. It won't need to. It should be printed here, I think. Yeah, now it get a new, so it won't need that like to. I mean, I don't need to skip waiting anymore. You know. So that's it. Like that's the life cycle of a service worker. Let me see how much time I have. Okay, I have only 1 minute, but that's it. I mean, we just created a simple PWA with an offline capability, and we could handle the service worker lifecycle. Of course, you can do something different. For example, we had a button here to send a message. You could send a message, for example, keep waiting, and then it could be an user action, So we keep waiting and go through with this new change. But it's up to you, PWAs actually can do much more because web can do much more, and sometimes we just don't know that. And this website here, that's what PWA can do today, is pretty good. As a start, you can see a button here, for example, for installing the application. That's something that we didn't do. We didn't do that, but you can. Because going through the search bar to do that, it's pretty bad. So you can have a button on your page and the user can install this. But there's a bunch of nice features. For example, push notification is something that you want, that you might want to have. Geolocation, background fetching for downloading big files. For example, when you download something, and that shows that stats bar in the stats bar of your phone that's downloaded something, it works with PWAs. You can do some background seeing for actions that you perform. Like, let's say your application is an email client and you want to send an email, but the user is offline at that moment, and then you can schedule that operation to be tried again when it regains connection. So pretty cool. You have vibration and you have face detection and you have a bunch of nice features. Bluetooth, you have file system somewhere here. That's file system. So I mean, web can do much of this. These are the features that you probably use in your application, and you can do just with web. Pretty simple. Just a bit of JavaScript, a manifest file, and that's it. That's all you want, and the rest is a matter of your mind, like creating things. Isn't it pretty cool? I like this. I find this pretty cool. And I mean, that's all for today. I will leave some links here because we have a blog on this, on PWAs, that describe more about caching strategies and some of the functions we have here. I'll leave that in the description of this video. Thanks for coming, and if you have any questions, leave a comment. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button, and see you soon.